one of Cake 2.0. It's day one of 90 days where we're going to go all out, all in, full speed. And we're all going to be working really hard on turning all this around that was created over the past 8 months. And we're going to use this Twitter space today. We're going to use this YouTube Live to, I don't know, kind of get closure over those 8 months. I don't want to dwell too much on that. There's no point in that. Whatever happened, happened. We can't change it. We're going to talk about where we are right now. We're going to be discussing the road ahead. We're going to be discussing the next 90 days. I want to discuss with you what to expect from a customer level, from the company side, what you can expect from me as transparency and communication. And I have Fabio here. We just had a town hall where I addressed the entire company on this. I kind of teased a lot, I think, already on social. And I want to be very clear. Obviously, some team members weren't 100% sure what I was going to share at 4 p.m. during town hall. But I think saying that everyone is really pumped, really focused, laser focused, really, is, I don't think it's an understatement. I think energy is very, very good. And that's very important. Fabio, how are you? How was town hall? We're gonna see. We may actually share parts of that. We're gonna look through. We did a recording, so we may actually share parts of it, so you can feel a bit of the spirit and the energy, have a bit of an inside track. But how was it for you, Fabio? How were the 8 months? Share a bit on this, and then we're gonna dig a bit in and look where we're kind of taking this.
Yes. It wasn't a great year so far, work-wise. I know, when I look back to November, December, it's hard to tell when it really kind of, I would probably point to November, when, let's say, shit hit the fan. We don't need to, paint around what happened. And, to take away maybe the obvious thing is what happened last week or this week, let's say last week Friday or this week Monday. If this would have happened in November, meaning that both you and Yusin kind of came to an agreement, signed, transaction made, and Yusin afterwards posted something on LinkedIn. He hasn't posted something on Twitter, but
Nobody
LinkedIn
the
messages.
company.
the LinkedIn messages actually, it's what I would have expected 8 months ago. And if that message and what would have happened on Friday or this Monday, if this would have happened 8 months ago, everybody would have won. And instead, we had this 8-month period where basically everybody lost. You, your family, Yusin's family, all the employees, all the customers, all the investors, all the partners. Everybody basically lost during the 8 months, and it was, in my opinion, unnecessary because we had a great thing going, and
the judge agreed with that. Yeah,
it's shoulda, coulda, woulda. Of course, we cannot change the past. We are where we are right now, and especially Julian had a town hall session today with all the employees, where we talked about what happened, we talked about where we are right now, and we talked about what the future might hold for us. And for me, it's somewhat of a relief. I know that. So one thing that got to me personally, and I think many people in, let's say, it doesn't matter in the fiat world or in the crypto world, can relate. I have a good job here. We have nice benefits. I make a good salary, but nothing, not the benefits and not the salary, can make up for feeling useless. And I felt useless 8 months for an 8 month period because it didn't really matter. My hands were tied. Most other employees' hands were tied. Like if you were asking for budget, you needed to have like 2 parties signing it. Budget was constrained. Partnerships were on hold. And a lot of things, let's say headwinds. And it's terrible to get up every morning and know that you're kind of useless, that it doesn't really matter what you do during the 8 to 10 hours that you're in front of your computer, that you're working, that doesn't have an impact. This feels terrible. It's nice 1 month. You chill out. You, I don't know, maybe play a game during work time, whatever. You go to the hairdresser or something like that. But after, I don't know, a few weeks, it just feels terrible, and no money in the world and no benefits in the world can make up for this. And the thing that changes for me the most today is that I hopefully that I'm not useless anymore. That I actually can make an impact and make a difference with my hours that I spend every day. Yeah.
I think you're bringing up some really good points. I want to point out a few things. First of all, there's no confidentiality. I could actually share whatever I wanted to share. I own the company. I own the data. I own the communication. There's no confidentiality in the exit, in the buyout. But there is no point. There's no merit. It's not gonna, other than providing for good gossip, which is something I don't like and I don't think it's useful. There's no utility for that. So I just want to share maybe a few things that I believe are useful, and I share these things with the intent to show transparency, to build trust, to win you back as a customer, to maybe win you as a new customer, or if you are a customer, to trust us even more and come back with even more. Because at the end, that is the goal when we talk about the next 90 days. What do we need to get to? Where do we need to achieve, right? So I want to share maybe a few things here. The first thing is, and it's really incredible to kind of think about this, all this started on September 27th. We completed everything on May 27th, 8 months to the day later. And this is where it kind of started. To kind of paint some picture of this, on the 27th, we were still good friends. On the 29th, it became very clear that of September. And I just came back from the Berlin Marathon where I was completely sick. So I had come back from that. So that's why I know all these. And I mean, this was all discussed to the greatest extent during the winding up application and so on. So, I mean, this got dissected in insane detail. Just to paint the picture, within a week, only lawyers were talking. And I want to highlight this. I knew this person for almost 7 years. And within 7 days, only lawyers were talking. And on the Thursday that followed, I think this was October the 5th, if I'm not completely wrong. Maybe someone can post this in, but I think that, so that Thursday afterwards, and so the first Thursday in October, I think it was October the 5th, we actually had a mediation meeting, or a mediation attempt. Not a meeting, it was more of an attempt. And it was interesting when I think back of how I came out of this, where I was like, if we don't, I don't know, understand each other again, everyone's going to lose. And what looked so irrational to a lot of people on the outside, including myself, later on down the line, when I started to see his negotiation tactics, the negotiation points, the way he approached certain things, actually very personal reasons became clear to me. And that is important, that I just want to highlight without going into detail on the reasons. This is not the point here. Sometimes reasons can be extremely personal, even very difficult for an outsider to understand. And a big takeaway, right? Even for you, if you ever have this with a loved one, with a business partner, you think you know, but that doesn't mean you truly know. And it took quite a while until I really understood the actual motivation. And that is very difficult sometimes, because it makes it difficult to actually understand what you're discussing and what you're debating. And this was such an aha moment for me. And so this was insane to kind of reflect on. It's also insane, and this is something, right, where I think where it became extremely hypocritical, and I mean people understood this, was when we did this retrenchment in November. So this was about 6 weeks in our disagreement, and at that point, I mean, most of the communication, most of everything had not gone well anymore. When we did that retrenchment, that literally everyone on the team agreed with. There was not a single senior team lead that disagreed with the retrenchment, where then Yusin artificially disagrees with it, but 2 weeks later files for the winding up application to basically fire everyone, right? So, yeah, and this was something that, for some weird reason, media outlets picked up and thought that this was the reason for the winding up application. And to me, whoever kind of used this as the reason, I don't know, cannot even add two plus two together, because how does this make any sense? If you are against downsizing the company in the first place, how can you then be pro firing everyone, killing everything? Makes no sense, right? It should have been the other way around, right? So I don't know. It should have been that person who wanted to do the retrenchment, and then let's say it would get rejected. That you then say, "Oh, sorry, let's then do it down." And my take actually is one of the reasons that he was so against the retrenchment was because he already had the winding up application in mind and knew that retrenchment was actually going to be helping the company from a financial standpoint and would make his case harder. But that's a pure assumption. Or it was just because he artificially was against it. Because, again, actually 6 months earlier, I have in written communication, and yeah, I've written communication that he actually agreed with having to do retrenchment. So these are just reasons that I want to be very clear. I want to eradicate that reason on why we had that fallout. That fallout was entirely different. I'm not going to go into the specifics. Maybe I will at some point, not right now, because it's not useful to do so. The other part I want to mention here is maybe some personal feelings. The 8 months were an absolute roller coaster. It felt like every week I was hit with something that was very difficult to take from an emotional standpoint. And maybe I want to give something to you. How did I cope with all that? Because really, there were days when I really sat there and thought, should I just give in? Should I just wind up the company? Should I just close it all? Should I just finish it for all of us? And there were a lot of days like this. And so the question really is, how do you keep going? And the good thing here is this, right? And there were so many times when I went for walks with friends, with Bettina, my wife, where we said, at the end, this is all just about money. It's all just about the business. There's no health issues involved. There's like Bettina and I love each other. The relationship is super happy. The kids are well. The truly important things are all good. And it always brought some perspective, because then I had friends of mine where their, I don't know, like similar age daughter to our kid had a brain cancer. And this was like, whoa, like it takes you back, right? And kind of puts perspective to certain things. I had friends who went through a divorce during this time, and it puts perspective to things, right? Health issues. It was on the one hand bringing perspective to it, and that was something that was so important to learn for me, not fixating on the outcome, knowing how to get to the outcome, but having faith and having that confidence that what it takes is a step every day. Just work on something every single day, a little bit every single day. And there was actually a time after the marathon, so after September, all the way until like New Year, where I had a very bad diet, very bad sports program, because I was so overwhelmed with everything. And it was when I was in Austria. I took, I think, about 2 weeks completely off. It was when I wrote my new book. And I just had to write that because I had to focus on something else. I just wanted to get away from it all. When then I came back and I was like, you know what? It's a new year, new start. I set goals for myself for the year. I worked this out. Where do I want to be? And I didn't question how to get there. I didn't question every single step. I just had that faith and that trust that if I worked on things every single day a little bit, if I took care of my body, if I went for a walk and talk with friends, if I went for a walk and talk with my wife, if I would basically have this psychotherapy session, kind of work this, I would have better sleep, I would have more energy. And I really felt from that point on, it started going upwards. And this was so important. So if you ever go through a really, really hard time, make sure you talk to someone on a regular basis. don't go on social media. That was also the reason why I went off social media. And this was so important, right? It was so good because social media is not the solution to your psychological problems. Many times, actually, the exact opposite, right? It puts pressure on you. It doesn't make you feel good. Get in real contact with someone. And this was so valuable, right? Get into a sports program, a sports habit, eat well. And this was so important. And I know it really felt at that point. Also, I don't think he made good decisions. Looking back, I think he had a lot of bad decision making. Obviously, that's only in hindsight. But I mean, I understood this in hindsight, but I think the decisions were very questionable. To me, that peak came in March, where he didn't bulge on anything, and where I then said, and I think this got misconstrued on purpose, obviously, but this is always how it is, where I said, for me, the most important thing is for the company to survive. The most important thing for me is that this continues. And if this means that I don't own the company, but he owns the company, if that is the sacrifice I have to make, so be it. And it was that reverse offer where I then said, hey, look, you think this is so irrational? Well, offer it to me. And it was so telling, right? And became an insider joke also in the company. It's still an insider joke where people always say, oh, seriously considering, like this basically means like not much, always subject to, right? And he went on this big stunt where he said, oh, like this is my company now, and so on. Obviously, nothing materialized from this. But I want to be very clear. For me, this was the honest decision. It was an insanely difficult decision because I knew if he takes this decision up, I would be the one who gets the entire shitstorm. I would be the one who's basically casted as this black sheep, as the one who gives up, and he has everything in his hand. It was one of the most difficult decisions in those 8 months, and I still remember that. I remember I sat with my lawyer on Friday. We discussed this through, and I wasn't sold. I was really not sold. And my lawyer said, if you are willing to take that decision, if you're willing to take that risk, if you're willing to take that risk that you're going to be the one who's going to get all the shitstorm, all the bad rep, and you let him take the company, that two things are going to happen. Either the company gets saved because he's now in control, or your case gets dismissed. And this was so powerful because to me, this put, in a sense, in a decision what I wanted to have, which is the company to survive. And I think he completely misjudged my true intentions here, which was for the company to do well, for customers to have a future, for the team to have a future. And I think that was the massive, massive turning point. I really think so. And one thing also reflecting over all those months was it felt that he was playing poker and I was playing chess. And there are so many instances that I could point this out that where this to me is very, very clear now. And again, today, I wouldn't want to switch places. I'm I know we have a super, super, super tough road ahead now, and I would love to talk about that, closing kind of with those 8 months. When we signed on Friday, last Friday, we signed, I went home. It wasn't that I was relieved. It wasn't that I was happy. It was that suddenly my energy and my focus came back. This was interesting. I felt this on Saturday. It was a different day for a very long time. Up until that point, 80% of my communication was legal. 80% of my work was going through legal documents, was researching, was finding evidence, was looking for things. This is not productive work, but it's necessary. And suddenly on that Friday, everything changed in a sense. Not that I was happy, not that I was relieved. It was that crystal clear focus of, okay, now it's time to jump out of the airplane and assemble the parachute on the way down. The exact same thing that you always do at the beginning of a startup, the same of day one. And it was and that on that last weekend where I was like, we're completing everything on Monday. That was on the 27th. Yesterday, 28th, was my wife's and I anniversary. I didn't want to start day one on that day because that makes no sense. We had all these personal commitments, and to me, that was that kind of day where I say, okay, last day when I then go into a 90-day kind of recovery plan, 90-day game plan, 12 weeks, these typical kind of programs, 12-week, I don't know, fitness program, diet. When you train for the marathon, it's 12 weeks, about 90 days until the end of August, where I want to see certain results so that we are confident that we're back in business. And that crystal clarity was refreshing. And I felt that's also what today was there in the office. A lot of people didn't know what to expect. I think a lot of people weren't sure. Would I come in and then fire half of the team? No, the exact opposite. And that was to me looking back over those 8 months. I think today my mind is lying a bit to myself where it's kind of blocking out a lot of the really, really tough times, the times where I just really only didn't saw the future anymore. I'm glad it's over, but I also know it's the start of something completely new. Fabio.
Yeah, only the part reflecting about the past. I just want to make one example that some people might understand, but for employees, it felt a bit like a divorce where you have the father and the mother, or basically two parents, um, saying different things, a lot of confusion, especially in the beginning. Nobody really knew what to believe because you had basically two people saying something completely different. And for employees, it was super hard to kind of navigate and know, okay, what's happening and why is it happening and what to expect. Um, and for me, the changing moment was I took a bit of a risk and I went onto a public Slack channel and I basically called out both you, Julian, and Yuzin, and I asked, okay, so both of you guys want to take over the company. What's the plan? And I remember vividly that some of the Slack messages have been shared in public, but you basically gave a little bit of an insight of what your plan is and what is your commitment. And Yuzin then said he doesn't have time to address his employees. And for me, this was the changing moment where I knew, okay, if somebody's really serious in buying the company and offering a future to its employees and to the company itself, you would take the time to address employees and to talk about your roadmap and the vision into the future. And from that moment on, for me, it was easy because I knew what. So look, my alliances, of course, I like you, Julian. We talk to each other on a weekly basis, almost 4 years. But loyalty and respect is something that it takes years to build it and it takes one moment to destroy it. Same with a partnership. And I think loyalty and trust shouldn't be blind. It should be reasonable, especially in business. And we talked about this. I told you exactly that it's loyalty can lead you, if you follow somebody or something blindly, it's not always a healthy thing. But at one point, I was like, okay, where is my alliance with? What do I want? What do I need? And my alliance is with the community, with the company, and with the better outcome. And when we had that conversation on Slack and the interactions of both founders basically responding to that, I knew what the better outcome for the employees and for the company and for the community would be. And look, Steven is one of our employees, and he said that here in chat as well. He said, I can say for certain that I would have left if Yuzin would have become the sole owner. And I think, a lot of employees felt the same, some the other way around, because we had a few people leaving. But it's So that's all I wanted to say from the past. Now we are here. I think it is, of all the outcomes, it's not the best, but it's also not the worst. And I would even say it's neutral positive where we are right now. It could have gone many other ways. There's still some money left. There's still some good employees left. There's still some customers left. There's still some attention left. Just looking at our YouTube and our Twitter, we never had that many listeners in 8 months. And attention itself is a currency. So that's where we are right now. And I'm super excited also for you to share what you shared with the employees just this morning or this afternoon. So, yeah.
I mean, those points you're making, I think they're such good points. Yeah, and I think they put a lot of perspective also for people who, yes, hear certain things for the first time or see this bit from the outside. Look, at the moment, there's still money left in the company. The company is cash flow negative. It is heavily cash flow negative now, just because. And I want to be very clear on this. I don't blame anyone who left us in those last 8 months. I don't blame anyone who withdrew their funds, and it's a lot. Our customer assets dropped insanely. The number of customers dropped insanely. We lost so many great team members. I don't blame anyone. I have so much more appreciation for everyone who's still here, the customers that are here, the team that are here, because they are here because they believe in something. They believe that there is a future. And this is, I'm so appreciative of this. You cannot imagine, because this is, at the end, the lifeblood. This is really what matters to us. If I'd listen to some people around me right now, and I think these people come from a very good place, then I would have to close the company today. Because from a rational, purely financial standpoint, this would make the most sense. Take whatever's still left, spend time with the kids. The kids are in an amazing age right now. You're burnt out. I am burnt out. It's been 8 brutal months. I would love to just go for 3 months on holiday, go surfing, go kite surfing. I don't know, spend time with my wife, spend time with the kids. The kids going into a summer holiday soon. Man, like, I would have such a great time. And I would just close the company, take whatever's left, and say, you know what? Give it a few months. I don't know, start something new. Don't start something new. Change the field. Do something else. And the people who advise this to me come from, in my opinion, a very sincere and honest place. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that suggestion. And maybe this is the best decision. It's a decision that would come so easy. It's a decision, and you have this all day. You get up, you have two choices. Are you going to get up, or are you going to stay in bed? Are you going to go do your workout, or do you not? Are you going to eat the cake, or are you going to eat, I don't know, eggs and avocado? Are you going to eat your steak, or are you going to eat something else? Are you going to have your discipline? Are you going to cheat on your wife or not? Do you do all these things? And in every moment, there are these decisions that you would love to do. They come easy, but there's the decisions that you have to do because they are the right decision. They're not the right decision, maybe from a financial standpoint, or because they're reasonable, or they're rational, or because they're common sense or whatever. No, you do them because it is the right thing to do. And that was the decision that I took over that weekend when I had that feedback of people who calculated things for me and said, hey, look, how much money are you going to lose over the next 3 months? And Julian, this is 100% of your money. Are you aware of that? Do you understand that? Think about the time. You're not going to get that time back. Think about this, think about that, and so on. And these people all come from a great place, and they're probably right. But it's not the right decision for me. And the reason it's not the right decision is because the job is only done when it's done. And it's not done. It's just starting. It's not done because making such a decision right now is absolutely ridiculous. In a sense that it's premature. We're coming out of 8 brutal months. I get it. But that doesn't mean we can't get back to that shiny, flourishing company that we were once were. I'm not sure we can get back to that super shiny company we once were in 3 months. I want to be very clear, but that's also not what we need to do. But it's 90 days where I want to look back and have no regrets. The regret is not losing some money. The regret is not losing 3 months. The regret is not, I know, not spending time with the kids right now for their summer holiday, which I will sacrifice, and I will tell you about this in a bit. The regret would be in 5 years thinking back of what if? What if we had given it all? Where would we be? And look, success is not guaranteed. It's never guaranteed. But I think if we hustle as a team, and that's the same thing that I shared with the group today, if we get back to speed, if we can excite customers, if we can provide utility to customers, if we can be useful, we're going to win customers again. We're going to win their funds again. We're going to make money, or we can get back. And I don't need to be in a super money making position in 3 months. That's not the point. The target is to turn around, to see that this is on an upward trend. Because if we're on an upward trend, anyone would be interested in investing in such a business. Now, if anyone is interested to invest in such a business, I myself can invest into that business. It is very interesting for our team to have ESOPs at an insanely low valuation. It's very interesting to work together with other partners. And there would be a lot of people who would love to work with us, but not in the current state, but maybe in a month or two. And that is where I want to get to. And I shared this story today with the team. I originally didn't want to share it here, but I will. One of the big motivators for me has really been the kids, has been my family. And whoever has kids can really relate to that. Kids don't do what you tell them to do. They do what they see you do. You have to lead by example. And I don't want my kids to see me not trying, because that is what I ask my kids to do all the time. Try to do the puzzle yourself. Try to fix the car yourself. Try to play with the rocket yourself. Open the door by yourself. Open the gate by yourself, and so on. I don't want to be the parent who tells them something but does something else. And this is a regret I would never want to have. In a few years, I'm going to look back in that moment, and I believe we can shape our own destiny here for success. Because either we're going to come out of this and we may not turn this around. This is an option. But that doesn't mean we failed. It means we tried really, really hard. We worked really, really hard. And fair, the damage that was done over the past 8 months were just so deep that we can't turn it around. Okay, that can happen. I want to be very clear when I say this. This doesn't mean that the next day everything gets closed. This would mean that we would have a sunsetting that would give a very soft landing to employees, to customers, and so on. This is not a liquidation. I want to be very, very clear on this, right? So it's not that in September the business will be shut down, but I want to be very clear. Also, I want to be very clear. A lot of people may be asking this. In that scenario, it wouldn't mean that DeFi chain would stop or the support for DeFi chain would stop. Actually, the exact opposite, because one thing we have been working on really hard is actually to make it very clear that these things get very separated, that they can function independently of each other. So I just want to double down on this, and I know these questions will come up again and again and again. So in that unlikely scenario, we go this route, it shouldn't impact DeFi chain. The customers, if there's no liquidation, it would be a sunsetting, similar to what, for example, Bittrex has done. Everyone gets their funds back. There's no risk for funds to get stuck or something. And we would just have to admit, I'm sorry, we can't turn this around. There's the total flip side of this. We have the Ethereum ETF coming up. We have money printing, in my opinion. We have the US election coming up. I think we are having a massive wave of crypto hype, crypto support, a lot of excitement. We have so many exciting things, and I want to talk a bit about that as well. And we could be on the total other end of that spectrum where the effort pays off, not only pays off, but comes back with interest. And we are a money-making business. We're doing super well. We get back to that bright star that we once were. That would be the other side. Or we end up somewhere in the middle where, hey, we turn this around. It makes sense to invest more. It makes sense to keep this going. It makes sense to expand. And That to me, all these scenarios make us winners because we're going to win in one shape or another. And that is what success to me looks like. Failure would mean not trying. And that is what I really want to achieve here. What other parts stick out for you?
So I think it's important to understand that we had almost no marketing going for the last 8 months. I mean, performance marketing for everybody that's not in the industry is the ads that you see on Twitter, on Facebook, on Reddit, on Google, and whatnot. And today, in the world that we live online, everything evolves around performance marketing. And just because of the winding up application and the legal battle that was going on in the background, it wasn't possible to really, push and go out there, acquire a new customer. Also, the market environment for the last 2 years. Okay, look, this year, of course, everything changed in January or maybe even late last year in the anticipation of the ETFs. And we had a super bullish year so far. But the year before that, we had market sentiment against that. And then finally, when the market sentiment turned and we could have spent some money on performance marketing, we couldn't because our hands were tied due to the situation internally. Now everything changes. Now we can go out, we can do performance marketing and get new customers in. And there will be new customers, as Julian said. The macro environment currently is shifting. There's a lot of hope. We are almost at an all-time high. And as Julian said, ETFs, money printing, elections, and so on. We are in a it's a good time to do some marketing. But the second thing, and that's maybe the thing that is most important, call to action. So look, what can you do if you're a customer, if you still have an account? Go and log yourself in, even if you don't have any money there yet or at the moment. We pushed out a bunch of awesome features over the last 8 months. Even though our hands were tied a bit, our engineers kept on working and pushing out features that you as customers want. What do we need you to do is, please, right now we have, I don't know, 300 plus listeners, and probably a lot more will listen to this recording. Please take 1 minute, 2 minutes, go on any social channel you prefer, Facebook, Twitter, Telegram, Reddit, doesn't matter. Tell us what you want. Tell us what you need to use our platform. What is missing? What feature, what product do you want us to make, to improve, to change? And we will listen. There is many people reading all of these comments. We are going to have sessions where everybody is going to come together and gathering the feedback and executing on it. And hopefully we can go back to the spirit that we had. Many customers that have been with us in 2020 and 2021, we had an insane speed from idea to implementation within weeks. Like really being that startup-y company and being efficient, listening to our customers. And this that way of working we had in 2020 and 2021 got us to the place where we were. And we want to go back to that. We want to listen to you guys, and we want to execute on these things. And look, I think I just want to mention this for everybody that is wondering. In all of these years, nobody ever, we never got hacked. We never displaced a single cent of customer funds. We always came through with our promises. It's a safe platform to use. It's an easy platform to use. And even if we are not making it in August, funds are SAFU. It's as Julian said, there is going to be a structured plan. Nobody is, even if this 90 days plan doesn't work, you can still get your funds out. But if you want to support us, take your Ether that is currently sitting on Coinbase and deposit it into Bake. You're getting the same amount of API, and it's going to help us out big time. And maybe I think these are the most important points. And maybe one thing to reiterate that a lot of people might not understand: it's not that we need to turn this ship around within 90 days and go from being cash flow negative to making a lot of money. It's just that we need to see progress into the right direction. If you can extrapolate this, if you start a business and you see month over month you're growing and customers are signing up, money is coming back, revenue is going up, then these are all signs that we we will evaluate after 90 days, are we continuing or not? But you need to see the progress. And 90 days is enough to see, is this changing around? Is the wind coming back? Are we having, customers signing up, using the products, and so on? And if this is going to be the case after 90 days, we can and we will continue. I think that's
100%.
important to highlight. We don't need to make million. We don't need to make millions in 90 days. We just need to see progress and things going into the right direction. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that's also an important one. It's also, I mean, for me, the 90 days are, let me explain why 90 days, maybe. The 90 days doesn't mean that by the end of the 90 days, like something stops. That actually, it's more on, if you're really committed to something, you do this only for 30 days, it's too short. You commit to something for 365 days, it's too long. You're not going to keep the pace. One of the key quotes out there are that the amount of sacrifice that you're willing to make is proportional to the amount you get. So without no pain, no gain, right? Typical Arnold Schwarzenegger quote. So without sacrifice, we're not going to get the amazing returns. So the question is, for how long are you going to give it all? I mean, obviously, I would love to give it all the time, but that's just not realistic. I have a wife, I have a family, I have my own sports, I have my own interests, I have the kids. No one is gonna, unless you're Elon, who really focuses on this probably 100 hours a week, no one is gonna be able to do this. But you're able to do this for a certain period of time. And I have some business trip coming up in the third week of June where there's my new book launch. I'll be in Germany. I'll be in Italy. I'll be in Austria. There's some book signing. There's a crypto event in Munich. We're going to do a crypto event in Italy. I'll meet a lot of our community members and so on. And that's a business trip. But even though my kids are on holiday, I've actually canceled all the holiday trips. And trust me, my wife wasn't all too happy about this. But this is the sacrifice I want to make. And this is not a sacrifice I would make for the rest of my life, right? But it's a sacrifice I'm willing to make for the next 90 days. And that's why it's 90 days. It doesn't mean that in 90 days everything stops or everything, I don't know, comes to a halt or something. It's more on, it's a commitment. And that brings me to what can you expect in those 90 days? Any business consists mainly of two things: a great product or great service and great marketing. And we're going to have to do both. So let's start with the product. We've developed a lot on the products already. If you compare us to 8 months ago to now, the product offering is absolutely insane and exciting. So please, if you haven't checked the app, if you haven't checked the website, look at the swap function, look at all the various coins, look at all the various tools, ideas, the bundles, look at all that. A lot more of that will be coming. And we're going to be focusing on rebalancing bundles. We're going to allow people to create their own bundles. We're going to really focus on the exchange function. We're going to really improve on the elite program. All things that are really, really, really exciting. That's the product side. Now, I would love to hear from you. What do you want us to do more? What do you want us to add? What would bring value to you? Because if this is doable, then I would love to add this. A 90-day plan also brings focus and prioritization. It's easier in meetings to go and say, okay, is this something we need to do in the next 12 weeks, or is this something we're going to do afterwards? Right? Not we're never going to do this, but we're going to do this afterwards because it puts focus on that. It's the same thing as when you go and say, okay, I'm going to go for a 12-week marathon program, and I know I need to run 60 kilometers every week. You know that there's a certain prioritization for a certain period of time. It's not never, it just means later. And that's important when it comes to the product side. So look at what we already have. We're going to be working furiously on exciting new things, but we would also love to hear from you. And I think that's really important. And the second side, obviously, is the marketing side. Now, what I'm going to be doing, and obviously this is a massive change to the entire year, while I've mostly been quiet on social media, for those 90 days, I'll do the exact opposite. I want to document the journey. I want to inspire more of you to start businesses, to see the journey that it takes to go from day one and go on, the risk you have to take, the amount of work it takes to put in. And I want to document that. And I'll try to put out content every single day. I'll try to make videos every day, put stuff out on LinkedIn, put stuff out on Twitter, on Instagram, on YouTube. If you have questions, if you have questions around the entrepreneurial journey, I'll try to put this in. I will put on some personal things. I'll try to put in some sports stuff, some of the mindset things, some of the family things, just because this doesn't stop. But I want to show you the entire journey. I want to take you behind the scenes on meetings, discussion points, prioritizations, execution, decisions that happen in the business. And if you have questions on that, please post it, let us know, because I would love to add those things in. I want to be as useful as I can on the social media side in those 90 days. I also would love to show you with that, and there's going to be a product side focus, obviously, in the content as well. So there's, on the one hand, there's really the business focus, there's the time prioritization focus, but obviously there's going to be a massive product focus as well. I want to take you on a journey with the product launches, the services, and guide you through that, because at the end, I want to win you as a customer. I want to gain that trust back. I want you to see what amazing services and tools we offer and what we build. At the same time, with this entire 90-day game plan, where I'm going to have this full focus on that, the marketing team is also going to obviously work furiously on the marketing side with Bake. So we're not only going to use my own brand for that. We're going to use the Bakes brand or Cakes brand as well. We're going to try to get other influencers to talk about us, talk about the coins, the services, the tools, work with the performance marketing side, work with Google Ads, whatever we can do to really grow and get exposure to the existing customers that we have lost and to new customers. And there's going to be a strong focus on all that. And so I hope that with all that, you can see in those 90 days what the 90 days really mean. The 90 days mean focus, where normally I would prioritize 8 hours of sleep over the business. My commitment is, on some days, not all days, on some days, I'm going to prioritize the business over sleep. Where, just like tonight, I slept 4 hours and something. And this is not something I normally would do. Normally, I would sleep 8 hours because this is the sleep I want. And I'm not going to do this for the rest of my life. I don't think that's healthy. But I think over sprints, you have to do this. Just like sometimes when you go for an insane workout, you go for an insane fasting, 10 days fasting. It's not something you do for years. You do this for a couple of days. And it's the same thing here. And you're going to feel this every single day for the next 90 days. You're going to feel this as our customer. You're going to feel this as someone who may just watch from the sidelines and look at the entrepreneurial side. Maybe you just look at this from a crypto side and just enjoy the spectacle. I'm also okay with that. But obviously, I hope that that you're going to really experience this from the customer side as well, that we win your trust back, we win your funds back, and you use us to support us. You use us because we're useful, we bring value. And this is really the key thing. Fabio, product, marketing, what stands out? What do you see?
Um, I think, look, one of the things that, if you're listening to this right now and you think, okay, interesting, you're following along everything we just said, and you ask yourself, okay, how can I help? Look, the easiest way probably is you go and open the Bake app, you choose your favorite coin, be it Bitcoin, be it Ethereum, DFI, whatever, set up a monthly DCA and take it from there. Give the app a new chance, because I know many of you that are listening right now, you've been active users of the app for, maybe during the bull period of 2020, 2021, maybe into 2022. But we can see it in the analytics. A lot of you that used to check daily, maybe check weekly or monthly, and some of you maybe haven't checked in 2 or 3 months. So give the app a new try. You can do DCA as low as, I don't know, 25 or 50 a month. Give it a try and let us know what you would love to see change, and build this thing back better with us together. because we really listen to you, and you can maybe, out of all of this, you can get the app that you really want. And we would love to deliver on all aspects we can. Um, I would say that's at the center for me personally, because um, I look, I'm when I say these things, I also say it because it's also a bit true for myself. There was a period where, I don't know, probably 30 to 50% of my total net worth was on the Bake app. Right now, it's, I don't know, maybe 10%, and I would love the Bake app to be that place where I can do everything. I know that, for example, Sebastian, that is here in chat, also made a great post about 4 hours ago what he would love to see on the app. He mentioned an off ramp and some improvements for the home screen, and so on. So please, just take 2 minutes today, right now, open the app, give it another try. And if you're using it regularly, just take 2 minutes, write to customer support on Telegram or on Twitter. Doesn't really matter where, what you would love to see from us. And we will take the feedback in and hopefully deliver as we used to, because everybody that was with us in 2020 and 2021 knows that we are actually listening. That you asked for dark mode, you got the dark mode. You asked for the dust converter, you got a dust converter, and so on. The features that you're bringing up over and over again, we're actually going to implement them. And yeah, that would be the most important thing for me. Look, we have many employees that we still believe, and there are actually people right now. I had a few conversations, and look, the thing that I'm going to do, I had some summer vacation plans in July. I'm going to move them to the end of August, just outside of that 90-day period, so we can get the rubber to meet the road again. 90 days isn't that long, and I'm also going to take the chance. The 8 months, even though I haven't had full working days, and I kind of felt a bit useless, as I mentioned at the beginning of the space. Also, my personal health suffered a bit. It's not that I used that time to go to the gym. It's not that I used the time to improve my diet. It's kind of backfired a bit, because when you feel useless during your work, you don't really feel the energy to, go to the gym, to go to the sauna, to change your diet. But I kind of feel like I'm going to make the best use of that 90-day also on a personal level. I want to do daily exercise and attack or change my diet slightly during that 90-day period, also because it has an impact on my working performance as well. So yeah, it's the first day of 90 days, and I'm super excited. There's nothing to lose, and it's a risk worth taking. Yeah, so I think it's going to be it's hard, hard work, but hard work can be very enjoyable. So I'm looking forward to the next 90 days. And also, I'm super happy that Julian is coming back with his social game. And
That was honestly, that was the number one message I got from team members today. Actually, after town hall and on Slack, it was glad you're back. That was the number one feedback I got from most people.
I just want to share something. I'm not going to name any names, but during the last 8 months, I had many conversations with employees. Some that stayed, some that left. And everything in between, I would say. But I asked a lot of people what would change that you think that there is still a future for Bake as a company. And many people, the answers came down to one or two things, or two or three things. And number one thing is the whole story with Yuzin and Julian needs to end. This was probably the mentioned number one. Okay, done. And the second thing that a lot of people said, Julian needs to reconnect to his inner fire. Because look, we've spent 4 years together. It's going to be, it's exactly 4 years. And I know you when you burn for something, and I also know the other side. And look, many employees felt the same over the last 8 months. Not a lot of us had a lot of fire, just because, I don't know, it was a devastating period of time. But it's so much fun when you have a few people that are excited about something, stand up every day, come together and make things happen. And I really look forward to experiencing and seeing that again live every day for at least 89 days. So
yeah,
Yeah, let's fucking go.
Let's fucking go. We didn't even discuss the super surprise on the Ethereum ETF, but we're gonna keep this for next week. We're gonna keep this to another hour. You're gonna know about all these things anyways. I think there's gonna be a massive crypto wave coming. We're gonna have the money printing. We're gonna have the Donald supporting the crypto space, and yeah, I think it's gonna be an exciting future. So very much looking forward. It's day one. I'll see you tomorrow for day two, and I'll see you in a week here on day seven for the next space, next updates. By then, I think you're gonna really see the fire that's burning, the motivation that's spurring out of there. And Fabio, thank you so much. I know today I talked way more than normal. I know it was a bit imbalanced, but yeah, we're gonna bring that balance back during the next ones. Now, everyone, please check out the app again. Help us, work with us, use the service, stake, exchange. More and more is coming. I am so excited. Looking forward to those days. I wish you really all the best. A great week. Thank you for being with us. And yeah, see you tomorrow for day two. Appreciate it all. Thanks, everyone. Bye bye.